Hello there, Janet Gorant here from Tribe Sober. So, I guess the first thing I must say, obviously, is Happy New Year. And as we are on 1st of January 2022, I guess I'm obviously going to talk about our Dry January challenge, our seventh Dry January challenge. If you haven't heard about our challenge, then all it consists of is making a small donation to a good cause, and in return, we will provide you with online and community for an alcohol-free month. So just go to tribesober.com and hit January challenge. My dog's going crazy out there. I'm sure she'll calm down in a minute. So at this point, I also wanted to say a big thank you to all of our challenges that are currently going through. We've already raised enough money to sponsor 100 disadvantaged children to do a whole year of yoga and life skill classes. So that is life-changing input for these kids. And we're so proud to be associated with Earthchild that do this amazing work. So what I'm going to cover this morning is 3 big reasons why you need to take a month off alcohol, and 10 tips how to do it, because it's all very well knowing that we've got to change our drinking, but then we wonder how on earth are we going to do it, and that keeps many of us stuck for many years, certainly kept me stuck. And then of course I'll talk to you about the benefits of taking a break. There'll be people watching this that are already sober or well on their way to being sober with Tribe Sober. So I hope that by watching this, you'll get some new tips. And if you have any tips you would like to contribute to this conversation, then please just write in the comments. And if someone could put our donation link in the comments as well, that would be awesome. So let me start with why. Where do I start? Well, I've just picked out 3 reasons why. I could give you 10, but I'll just pick 3. I'll try and discipline myself. Well, number 1, some people say to me, Janet, is it really worth taking just a month off alcohol? You know, I've been drinking heavily for decades. What's the point of doing a month? Well, the thing is that alcohol is so toxic that just taking 1 month off it will have significant health benefits. And there was an experiment, a study done at the New Scientist magazine that we'll talk about a little later, but there is tangible proof that just 1 month off alcohol will have significant health benefits. So yes, it's worth it is the answer to that. And you know, if you haven't taken a break before, don't think beyond that. Just think, okay, I'm going to take a month off. I was just listening to our podcast that came out at 10 o'clock this morning, and on that I interviewed Jimmy, who happens to be my hairdresser, but that's another story. I kind of bullied him into doing Sober Spring, and now I've just interviewed him about how his Sober Spring was. So he told me that it never occurred to him to take a break from alcohol before. And he really, really struggled with Sober Spring, and he just notched up, you know, a few days. But the thing is, it's given him awareness, and now he knows that he does have an issue with alcohol, and he's determined that he is going to address it. So, you know, it gives you a warning. So that brings me nicely to my reason number 2, why you should do this, because we need to test our dependence regularly on alcohol. Because it's kind of sneaky, you know, certainly it crept up on me in my 20s and 30s. I was a social drinker, although I went over the top sometimes, but, you know, more or less just drinking with other people. But then, you know, 40s and 50s, I started to enjoy drinking alone. I was using it to medicate my stress, my anxiety. And that's when I started to become dependent, but I had no idea. And it was only when I realized, you know, that I was really in trouble with my drinking, and I tried to cut down. I mean, I didn't even bother to try and stop altogether. I thought, oh, how do people do that? Live without alcohol? Surely that's not a thing. So I just tried to cut down, and it was impossible for me to cut down. So that's when I discovered that I was completely hooked on this stuff. And if I'd had the sense to take more breaks when I was younger, you know, in my 20s and my 30s, if I'd taken more breaks from the booze, then I would have got that warning a lot earlier. And then maybe it would have been easier for me to manage my alcohol, and I might even have been able to keep drinking. But as it was, I went completely, I crossed the line, as we say, and then, you know, I just couldn't manage my drinking, so I had to quit completely. So, you know, take a regular dependence test. I think twice a year you should test your dependence. So we do our dry January and we do sober spring. So if you do both of those challenges and you just sail through them, you know, it's a breeze, you don't think about alcohol, then you've obviously got a very healthy relationship with alcohol and you've got nothing to worry about. But if you can't do it, or if you're watching this thinking, who's this crazy woman? No way am I going to give up drinking for a month, then, you know, that's a fairly clear indication that you need to make some changes. And the third reason, so what have I got? Alcohol's so toxic, it's worth it taking a break. It's insidious, so you need to test your dependence regularly. And number three, as it's kind of January and a lot of people are setting a lot of goals, you know, not just about drinking, but they'll be setting fitness goals, career goals, whatever. And you've got so much more chance of reaching those goals, or at least getting a flying start in January towards those goals if you're not drinking. Because alcohol steals our time and it steals our energy, it steals our motivation. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I used to get home from work, you know, I was already a bit tired. And then I'd open a bottle of wine and two, three glasses in. I mean, there was no way I was going to do anything else apart from veg out in front of the TV for the evening. But, you know, now that I don't drink, I've got so much more energy and inclination to, and time to do other more interesting stuff. So, three reasons why you should give this a go. And let's look at how. So I've taken these reasons. Our blogger Janice, who also does Facebook Live for us once a month, she produces these really cool little PDFs. I suppose they're cheat sheets, you would call them. And her latest one is called tips 10 tips to quit drinking, and it's really good stuff in there. I'm going to take you through it now. But if you would like a copy of that, just a PDF, I can email it to you and just kind of keep it as a little thing on the side to motivate you now and again. Just drop me a line, janet@tribesober.com, and I'll send it to you. And you can also get it via our website. I think you go into the freebies box. So let's go through Janice's tips. Now, the first thing she said is put it out there. And I like that. I think we have to go public with this. I mean, if it's a challenge, it's easy. It's not like saying, oh, you know, I'm a complete alcoholic and now I've got to stop, because, you know, that is tough. But if you're just saying I'm doing a challenge and you say I'm doing a challenge for charity, why don't you join me? That's a good one. So, yeah, put it out there. I mean, the day that I stopped drinking, I started blogging. You know, I just told everybody because I thought, well, if I fall off the wagon now, it's going to be so embarrassing. So that kind of kept me on track. So, yeah, I mean, at least tell one person, but preferably tell the world. Be accountable and you're much more likely to stay on track. Number two, write it down. Write 2 lists. You know, we've learnt from our lovely Lucy, hope you're there, Lucy, I'll have a look in a minute, that when we quit drinking, we gain so much more than we lose. And this worry that we're going to lose stuff, which comes from limiting beliefs, you know, we're going to say, oh, how will we have fun? And we're going to lose all our friends. We focus on the negatives when we consider the possibility of giving up drinking. So what I suggest you do is write 2 lists. You know, one list, what you'll gain if you stop drinking. You know, there'll be plenty of ideas in my talk now that you can jot down. And then write down what you'll lose. And, just instantly comes to mind, well, you'll lose hangovers, won't you? You'll lose your anxiety and you're going to lose a bit of weight. You're going to lose stuff that you don't actually want in the first place. So think of it as a balance sheet and start building that balance sheet. And it's fascinating. You'll really discover that there's so much more to gain by doing this. Number 3, keep a journal, and you can write that journal in your write that balance sheet in your journal, of course. But I wrote a blog once, a little kind of tip, I think it was, and it was just called "Be a Scientist in Your Own Life," and I kind of like that. I like being a bit just observe, and as Lynette would say, be curious. What's going on? Treat a month off alcohol as an experiment. I mean, obviously, the big experiment is, are you dependent on alcohol? And then at the end, you can conclude yes or no. But just, log every day. How are you getting on? How are you feeling? What's triggering you? And use it to process your emotions. If you do find it really difficult, then just write about it. If people are asking you difficult questions and you feel a bit stuck, start writing down what you're going to say next time somebody asks you that. So keep a journal. So put it out there, write it down, and keep a journal. Oh, the next one she's put, I like this, pour it away, she's called it. So yeah, and we have had people that have done this, and we've had people that have filmed themselves pouring bottles of wine down the sink, and then they post it on our groups. I think that's great. I can't remember who it was. Someone I interviewed for the podcast said she threw away 2 bottles of very expensive Chardonnay. I mean, that shows commitment, doesn't it? So pour it away. If you've got to make it easy on yourself. If you've got bottles of wine all over the house and you don't like the thought of waste, then give it away. Lucy always says, give it to people you don't like, because it is poison after all. But seriously, give it away as presents, pour it down the sink. And then if you've got a partner that watches you pouring this expensive wine he bought down the sink, then, better consult him or her first. And first of all, obviously, try and get them to join you, because it's much easier doing this with someone else, especially if it's your partner. It's quite tough watching someone else, drink their head off when you're trying not to. So try and get your partner to join you. And if that's not going to happen, then ask them just to keep their alcohol away from you. I mean, in my house, the obvious place would be the garage. I'd say just, put it in a cupboard in the garage so it's not in my face. So, yeah, make it as easy as you can for yourself. Don't have alcohol everywhere. Number 5, clarify your whys. Why do you want to take a month off alcohol? Well, I hope I've given you those reasons, at the beginning. You're testing your dependence. You're improving your health because it's so toxic. Just a month off will help. And you're having more time and energy to start 2020 on a positive note. So there's your whys. So write them down in the front of the journal, and you'll have personal whys as well that you'll want to add to that list. And number 6, I already alluded to this slightly, but be ready for the questions, because as we're always saying, alcohol is the only drug we have to justify not taking. So our challenge actually gives you the perfect answer. You just say, oh, I've signed up for a Dry January challenge and I'm raising money for charity. I'm raising money for this awesome NGO, and they help township children to, learn yoga and life skills. And, you've got a great way to deflect the conversation. And if you put it over positively and with a bit of enthusiasm, you might get that other person to sign up for our challenge as well, which would be awesome. So yeah, be ready for those questions. The 7th tip that Janice has got here is keep busy. Set some goals for 2022. Set goals around your fitness, creativity goals. Maybe you need to learn something new. It's a great time. I love New Year personally. I hate Christmas. I don't know why. don't like Christmas, always feel a bit miserable at Christmas. But New Year, I love New Year because for me it's about new beginnings. So relish that time of the year and set some goals. And then you'll get off to a flying start because you won't have alcohol to slow you down. And as I interviewed a guy for the podcast called Ken Middleton, who's really cool. He came to our Zoom cafe and I've shared his articles. But he always says that alcohol might not destroy you because, let's be honest here, it doesn't destroy everybody. There are many, many functioning alcoholics in this world. I mean, I was one of them. It might not destroy you, but it will prevent you from reaching your potential. And I think that's quite interesting. And if we think of it in the context as, okay, I've got 7 goals, 7 things that I want to achieve in 2022, you are so much more likely to achieve those goals if you're not drinking. And even if you're just going to take a break for January, just think, well, I'll get off to a flying start with those goals and I'll set the tone, for a very positive new year. Where are we now? Planning, yes, planning. So in January, you've probably got social events coming. We're now beginning to venture out, aren't we, with COVID abating slightly or getting a little bit less lethal. So just play the movie forward. If you've got a social event, okay, what's it going to be like? Do I need to take my own alcohol-free drinks with me? Or do I need to look up the restaurant online and see what choices they have, just to have it in my head what I'm going to order? Because the trick is not to be caught short. The worst thing is walking into a function and somebody thrusts a bottle of bubbly into your hand and you've kind of drunk half of it before you've even realised what you're doing. So think about it, plan it, be prepared. And yeah, take your own alcohol-free drinks. I don't know if you heard last week's podcast, the 3 people that I interviewed about their sober spring, and one of the ladies, Claire, she talked about how she went to this very exclusive game farm for a few days. And she was so determined she was going to keep up her sober spring that she bought lots of alcohol-free drinks. So she turned up at this very swanky place with 2 carrier bags clanking with bottles, and the guys there, the waiters, whatever they were, they're welcoming and they're saying, oh, madam, you really didn't need to bring your drinks. All our drinks are free here and we've got every available alcoholic drink you can dream of. And she said, oh, no, well, these are alcohol free. So they said, oh, okay, we don't have any of those. So it's probably a good idea that you bought them. So I think that's so cool. So well done, Claire, if you ever see this. I was very impressed by that because it can be quite embarrassing to lug around bottles. People tend to think you're an alcoholic or something. So talking of alcohol-free drinks, don't forget those South Africans that are watching this, Drink Nil Koza, our online shop here in South Africa, all the alcohol-free drinks you can dream of. They deliver it to your door and you get a discount if you're doing this challenge, if you're a member, Tribe Sober member, or if you're doing the January challenge. So number 9, Janice recommends that we connect. And of course, that's an essential part of the support that we offer. So our Dry January challenges are all together on a WhatsApp group. And I've just invited them to our members' Zoom cafe this afternoon. So I do hope we'll see some of them there. But it's hard to do this thing alone. I mean, I struggled for 10 years because I was just so embarrassed about my problem that I kept it to myself. But, it's so important to connect with other people. There's millions and millions of people struggling with alcohol. And, this study that I'm always talking about, the average person takes 11 years to reach out and get some help. And that's sad, because you're in a pretty lonely, miserable place during that decade, more than a decade. So connect and talk to other people, even if you're only saying, oh, I'm really struggling with this thing, or you say, oh, I fell off and had a really difficult night, and I started drinking. People will pile in and they'll say, oh, that happened to me, and you just get back on the bus and you'll be fine. And number 10 is reach out for more help if you need it. I mean, if you are doing Dry January Challenge, if you one of these people that signed up earlier, then well done for signing up early. But if you're struggling, or if you're watching this thinking, oh, no way could I do a month off alcohol, then please reach out, get some help. Don't be like the average person who waits 11 years before they finally admit that they can't do this alone and they get some help. So either join the challenge or join Tribe Sober today. Go to tribesober.com and click on Join Our Tribe. For an affordable monthly subscription, you connect with others on the same path and you can change your life. Many people have, and they will be on that group and they'll inspire you. So now I'm going to go for the benefits. Where's my notes? I could talk about the benefits of sobriety forever. Where am I? How long have I been rattling on? 21 minutes. But I will spare you that. I mean, I always say that sobriety is a superpower. But I'm in my 7th year of sobriety, so I thought I'll just pick on 7 benefits of doing a dry January. So let's think about sleep first of all. Good sleep is the foundation of good health. And, I was drinking a bottle of wine a night for decades and I was always tired, I always felt a bit below par. And that's no surprise really, because most nights I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a dry mouth, feeling full of dread and anxiety. And then, now that I'm sober, I've learned more about REM sleep, which is the deep, restful sleep. We need 7 cycles a night. As a drinker, we get 2 or 3. So what happens is you're never very well rested. So the fatigue builds up and builds up over the years. So a month off the booze and your sleep will start to normalize. You'll start clocking up some REM sleep. And hopefully by the end of the month, you'll start feeling well rested and good. And you'll think, do I really want to go back to drinking? Many people do a challenge and then they keep at it because they think, well, I've done the hard work, and indeed they have. So why not just keep it going? So benefit number 1, better sleep. Benefit number 2, less anxiety. If you're one of the Tribe Sober gang, you will have heard me say that drinking alcohol is like pouring gasoline on your anxiety, which is so ironic because many people start drinking because they're a bit anxious or they've got social anxiety, but it just makes it worse. It makes it flare up. And we've got members, and I had a coaching client once that I never forget because she was in therapy for years about her crippling anxiety. And then we managed to get her off the booze. And after she'd been off the booze for a few months, she said, it's gone. My anxiety's gone. And I've sacked my therapist because I don't need her anymore. So, a lot of people are in therapy and they are drinking regularly, but they don't raise it because it's like the elephant of the room. They feel a bit embarrassed and the therapist doesn't want to put pressure on them. So they don't attack the issue. But if you're an anxious person, try ditching the booze and you might well find yourself a lot less anxious. Number 3, now your looks are going to improve. You'll certainly have better skin because did you know that every glass of wine that we drink, it actually robs our system of the equivalent of 4 glasses of water? That's a lot, and if you're drinking a bottle of wine every night, your body's just getting so dehydrated. I mean, my skin, I used to look quite puffy and I used to have red veins and dry, flaky skin. But stop drinking, your skin will improve within a very short time, a couple of weeks, and you'll lose that puffy look. So definitely has an impact on your looks. Number 4 in our 7 benefits, your immune system will strengthen. And COVID seems to be, cross fingers, getting a little less deadly, but it is still out there. So we need a strong immune system. Because what happens is when we drink alcohol, because it's so toxic, our body treats it as if it's a disease. So our immune system gets all flared up and anxious to fight this disease, this toxin. But when we stop drinking, our immune system can then focus on its proper job, keeping germs and viruses and everything out of our system, or at least if we are unlucky enough to contract something, then it'll be on form to focus and fight COVID, for example. So it's going to strengthen your immune system. And you might lose a bit of weight, 1 or 2 kilos in a month, because not only is alcohol full of sugar, but our bodies actually won't metabolism the food that we eat until it's got rid of the alcohol in our system. Because alcohol is so toxic, our body wants it out as soon as possible. Our body doesn't care if we're fat or we're thin, but our body wants to keep us alive. So it must get this toxin alcohol out of our bodies as soon as possible. So going back to the fact that alcohol is so toxic that just having a month off will have significant benefits, that's why it is worth doing, even though it seems like quite a short stretch. Going back to that experiment, you can Google it, but it was the New Scientist magazine. That's a magazine that's published in the UK. And what they did is all of their writers, what journalists are like with their boozing, all of the writers, all of the staff, they all made a pledge to do Dry January. So they kind of got through it together. And it was a struggle, but most of them stayed on the wagon for 30 days. And the interesting thing was they had lots of blood tests and stuff done on day 1 and then again on day 30. And you can read the precise, detailed results on the internet. But so I do remember that their blood pressure and the liver stiffness reduced dramatically. And we've had stories again and again in Tribe Sober of people that have had doctors' tests and the results really show, they just prove that this stuff is not doing us any good at all. And number 7, the 7th benefit, you're going to get more time. So when you're not planning the drinking, doing the drinking, recovering from the drinking, you've got time on your hands. So use it constructively. Set the tone for a happy and healthy 2022. So please sign up today for our fundraiser if you haven't already. If you have, then big thank you. Just go to tribesober.com and hit January Challenge 2022, because it's going to kickstart your health, it's going to freshen up your looks, and it'll give you a real sense of energy and purpose. And that's what we want at the beginning of a new year, isn't it? And if you're still not convinced, then please listen to last week's podcast or the one that came out this morning. And there you're going to hear 6 people that did Sober Spring Challenge. And they're all talking about, why they signed up for a challenge, what it was like, and what the benefits were. And I think it's really inspiring. So that's me. I hope that was interesting. Let me have a look, see if anybody's there. Oh, wow, plenty of people there. Hi, Sue. Happy New Year to you as well. Yes, Dry January can change your life. I mean, Eusebius McKaiser, who's very kindly kind of sharing his podcast that he did with me, he puts it down to Dry January that he stopped drinking 3 years ago. Who else have we got here? Mary Louise, Flick, hi there. Hello, Roz in Spain. I'll see you later on in the Zoom cafe, I'm sure. Oh, great. Thank you, Merlene, for putting on the link there. Yep, it's worth it, isn't it? Oh, Merlene, you're so lovely. She's putting all the notes out there for you. So you don't even have to listen to me rambling on. You can just look at that. Oh, Colin, fantastic. Yeah, pour it away. Yay. Yeah, I like that too, Merlene. alcohol might not destroy you, but it will prevent you from reaching your potential. I mean, how can we reach our potential if we're just feeling tired and, just longing for that first glass of wine at 6 o'clock all day? Lynn, just checking that there's no questions. Great. Oh, there's Janet from the UK, my namesake there, and Mary Louise. Hello, Mary Louise. So I hope to see some of you at Zoom later. And thank you so much for watching, and Happy New Year.